We'll begin, though, tonight, and we will get to the Biden stuff, with President Trump's two biggest frustrations in office. And obviously, I know him for 35 years, and I know this to be true. When I talk about President Trump, there's very little speculation. Okay, so the first one, and that's the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. First one is Putin. Okay, and there was a call, and both Putin and Trump say it went well. That's what they're always going to say. I know that. And that's not being cynical. This is the way the game is played. Call was about Ukraine and trade and all that stuff. I'll get to it. I'll get to the what we know and how we know it, of course. But perhaps Trump's biggest frustration is the deportation process. So he believes that he, as president, should be able to deport anybody in this country illegally, across the board. Shouldn't have to answer to judges or any of that. Okay, now I said very early on, you'll remember it, this was going to be a problem for Donald Trump. I said it when he was running, okay, because you're up against what they call due process. And I'm going to explain all of it to you. And it's not debatable. So if you're wasting your time watching cable television, talk radio isn't a waste of time. And I say that with 300 stations carrying me. But you got to be careful about what you believe. But cable TV is a waste of time, your time. They're never going to tell you the truth because they don't know it and they don't care to find out. All right, let's get back to Trump. So the Supreme Court ruled on Friday that a judge in North Texas, James Wesley Hendricks, not a liberal loon, okay, should decide whether or not a number of undocumented people can be deported without court hearings. Okay? And that's what President Trump wants. He just wants to boot him. And he makes the point, you can't have 1 million, 15 million court hearings. And that's true. So Trump has the basics on his side. But the Supreme Court said, hey, the system is that Hendricks gets first shot at it. And then if the Trump administration doesn't like how Judge Hendricks rules, then you appeal up to the Supreme Court. So they'll probably get it back if Hendricks sides with the undocumented people. All right? Okay, that's fine with me. All right, that's the way the system works, and I'm not down with blowing up the system. But here's something interesting that I bet you have not heard. I told you that the Obrego Garcia situation, that's the guy in Maryland who was deported to El Salvador without a hearing, who had claimed asylum in the USA. The Trump administration says he's MS-13, and thereby, by the executive order, you can deport any gang member because they cited MS-13 as a terrorist organization in the EO. All that's true, but they haven't proven in a federal court that Garcia's MS-13. That's what they had to do. So the Supreme Court said, and you'll remember this if you follow the news, the Trump administration had to facilitate bringing him back. The president said, no, we're not going to do it. We can't do it. And there were a million excuses. I said, going to hurt you. Supreme Court cited that in its ruling on Friday. And I'm telling you, you need these justices on your side, Mr. Trump, if you want to protect us, because that's what this is. It's a protection thing. Okay, I'm glad I got to tell you that. Now we segue into the 14th Amendment. You know all about this. This is the birthright. So if two undocumented parents, or even one, sire a child, and the child's born in America, that child becomes an American citizen by the 14th Amendment. We've been over this 50 times. That's in the Constitution. It was put there because of slaves, that the children of slaves were American citizens. Now, it's wrong because now in the year 2025, there are scams all over the place to get undocumented people here to give birth so their kids are Americans and they won't be deported. It's a scam, a giant scam. So the 14th Amendment, which was well-intentioned, is really obsolete. But you've got to do it legally to get it out of there. And there's no way the Democratic Party is ever going to vote to dissolve the 14th Amendment. You need 2/3 of Congress and 2/3 of the state to dissolve a constitutional amendment. Because if you didn't have that, then a dominant political party could just wipe out the entire Constitution. So the founders were smart to put that in. All right. So now the Trump administration is taking on the 14th Amendment. They're going to lose. They can't win. You cannot win this. But the right-wing propaganda machine is putting stuff out there, and I got to address it now because it's all over the place. I got 20 letters, one from Steve in Memphis, and he says, quote, if the 14th Amendment grants citizenship to everyone who was born on American soil, seems like the phrase, and subject to jurisdiction thereof in the amendment is germane. Yeah, it's germane, Steve, but it doesn't have to do with what you think it does. The jurisdiction thereof means that if you are the son or daughter, baby son or daughter of the British ambassador, you're not an American citizen because the U.S. does not have jurisdiction over you. If you're the son or baby daughter of anybody in the United Nations, you're born here in New York, you're not a citizen because the United States has no jurisdiction over those people, acting in an official capacity. And then there's a Native American component. Native American soil, okay, while it's on our mainland, isn't subject to the Constitution. I mean, they have to obey it to a certain extent. They have to comply, but it's their territory. It's Native American territory. So the conservatives out there, oh, jurisdiction thereof, and no. It only applies to people who are here, but the American government does not regulate them. It has no control over them. Ambassadors, councils, UN members, things like that. Now, I don't like deception. I don't care if it comes from the left or the right. And you're being deceived. Okay, so one more footnote, and this is fascinating. Barack Obama was very successful in deporting undocumented immigrants. Very successful. The reason was his policy was you catch him coming over the border or at an airport with a visa not valid, you put him right back on the plane or you put him right back on the water. So they don't have a residence here. They don't have any claim to being in the United States. You turn them right around. And that's how the Obama administration was able to deport 3 people without any hearings at all, 3 million people, without any hearings at all. Just turned them right around when they caught them. Biden let them all in. And that blew up the system. And now Trump's got to deal with that. Now, if you are confused, and I hope I was clear, okay, if you're a premium or concierge members, if you're a concierge member at BillO'Reilly.com, you get a transcript, and I would advise you to get one of what I just said. But write me, Bill@BillO'Reilly.com, Bill@BillO'Reilly.com, name and town. If you have any questions about this, it's very, very important for you, the honest American, to understand what's happening and how frustrated Donald Trump is. Nothing he can do about it. He's got to go through the court system, checks and balances. Thank you for watching. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow me on X. Look for @Bill O'Reilly.